Anyway, I just want to say this real quick to make quick note, maybe to include and modify or whatever. In addition, some more in a chronological segment. Anyway, so not necessarily a segment, but anyway, yeah, the exclusionary rule provision of the pi r square thing seems to be something that is getting onto the is that a Saxon-Goldman exclusionary rule pi r squared thing with the Wyatt Earp and the God, what is it? God, I just see that's why I do this. The Wyatt Earp and God, the Mugu Gaipan. Yeah, the Wyatt Earp and the Mugu Gaipan. You know, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna have to redo this. I'm gonna have to think about it. Anyway, so it's kind of like getting on to the the gold digging thing about the Wyatt Earp and the Mugu Gaipan and Hop Sing thing. I've even heard it in John Wayne movies. Hop Sing seems to be the name of the chef of Orient in that way, normally associated with that pan during the gold rush. Predominantly it would be more focused on Wyatt Earp in the way of the acronym and the exclusionary rule provision and what that means to pi r squared and why pi r squared is significant in that way. Maybe what history itself might mean, maybe with or without and or including either nor type of a retroactive presidential administration. Or what maybe a leave of absence might suggest as optional as, a defector. Or maybe categorized as some silent partnership in the way of representation of what pi r square really normally is finding the actual size of a diameter using only half a dimension to achieve that. And the similarities of like Robert Half in the way with the US $1. Likewise, in addition to something about that, or the absolutes, and normally starting out with algebra, going through algebra, in like pre-cal and calculus 1 and 2, on up into physics, and not real sure. I didn't follow the absolutes. I don't remember if my memory serves me correctly about the absolute value, the vertical bars, or the GMC, we're raising the bar thing, in more than one way, kind of like thing, of absolute value, going into quantum, or, auto production in a way of how algorithms is and is not included, and when that, like, is a determining factor of different direction beyond a specific point, going through the different levels of, like algebra and calculus on through certain parts of physics and even quantum. Whatever the case may be, it gets through the signal processing formulas in that way. And, I don't really remember any absolute values involving geometry at all. I don't think even trigonometry. I don't really remember any absolute value bars used in trigonometry or geometry. I don't think. Anyway, I'll actually have to look at that, really, to actually remember, and not it be a question. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah, in that way, when it gets to the signal processing, I'd mentioned the William Jefferson Clinton, Bill Clinton presidential administration with Vice President Al Gore. Okay, and it's like it was like an automatic perception of mine, because of signal processing. When I heard, Al Gore's name, and automatically it's like an electronic power, WEA International, Houston, Texas, thing about them, the immediate, and the attenuate. Okay, a lot of the time you'll see the salute, In a way, many people might not see or recognize any absolute value as vertical bars, or what that might mean to pi r squared, only using one hand with the absolute salute thing, the pi r squared, when there's two, just like the US $1, or in the way of normally the right hand is normally used for the salute of absolute value in that way. And the word attenuation um, is normally, that's the alphanumerics of like 140 in Pearland, Texas. Okay, Purple Heart and Holy Miracles and alphanumerics, and the list goes on and on. Connectivity between 181 in Houston, Texas, and electronic power and all that stuff. Anyway, so yeah, so it's like the UA. It's like a big, I don't know if I'd really call it an initial or an abbreviation, or maybe both, and whatever way needed or required to do the UA thing. You've seen certain types of UA formats involving certain types of unions, and normally different types of unions actually used. You'll hear it at various different types of and kinds of unions in that way with a lot of UA stuff. Okay, I never, not once, really heard it when I was like going through an apprenticeship or any other locations with other like even journeymen that I knew from other unions involving certain issues, or any factors involving attenuation in the way of signal processing, or any international electrical electronic engineering organization comparable reference to maybe what pi r square is to the IEEE as compared to the IEEEO, the 24 being the 39 thing, between like that and GMAC, General Motors Acceptance Corporation, and HOA, Homeowners Association, and the acronyms HOA and GMAC and the IEEE of the International Electrical Electronic Engineering with the big O organization thing. And it's almost like a pi r squared thing, kind of retrospect in the sense and manner of practical integrating principle of interchangeability and practical application in the way of the three being the significant factors of like that. And if the r squared is only the GMAC and the Homeowners Association of the International Electrical Electronic Engineering, and what that word attenuation and signal processing means, normally attenuation is normally the speed of processing involving signal processing. Normally so, truthfully so. Attenuation and the UA thing about it, taking the UA, the reason why, it would be like recognizable as someone that actually had been involved with like maybe a union, any union that might just use the UA thing in their way, but recognizably so, more than likely that anyone could be involved with just like, things in their home that they buy, the reason why they like, achieve a level of value with what they've chosen to, be involved with their lives to, provide that. So anyway, so yeah, so in a way, it's kind of like a, attenuation without the UA is like attention, and with the UA in the word, it's like attenuation. So it's like a signal processing speed in that way, and attention. And the wide ERP thing, it seems to be getting to the Mugu Gaipan, and something in my mind of WEA International. It's almost like the George Michael song that I'd listened to, many years. When it first came out, way back in the 80s. And I was more so into the rock thing, okay? With the drums, okay? And, but George Michael's like an automatic singing thing, because a lot of times, I just like, singing whatever, you know. And that was one of them. Okay, but anyway, it's kind of like I hear the words completely, hearing it differently, in the same words and lyrics, and completely hearing and getting different meaning from it. Completely now, I mean, completely different than what it was then. And it's kind of like that segment of like Careless Whispers is the Guilty Feet Have Gotten Over Rhythm. It's kind of like, it's kind of like really kind of strange, but it's on A Road there in Angleton at the 45 thing, just practicing quads on A row inside, and just with my feet on the concrete and my hands on my knees, going through some similarity of a type of quadruplet, and alternating. It was like on a 2/4 count. What would sound like a 2/4 count with like alternating double time, okay, between like 1/8 and 16th note in tempo, and maybe some variations in deviate maybe a little bit or whatever. But I was kind of like just starting to do that because I very rarely ever did it myself, and very rarely heard anyone do it ever. I mean, like really hardly ever. And it's not that it's just one of those normal drum rolls that normal quad drum rolls that if it's not practiced, it's kind of like almost like use it or lose it or perfect it or whatever the case may be. And for me, that's kind of what it is until I get warmed up. Even on my drum set, and then throwing it like anywhere on my set, for whatever arranged thing about it, So anyway, I heard that years later for the first time, and like I don't know why they call themselves. I wouldn't choose it. But, I'm not going to express anymore my personal opinion, but I don't want to sound possibly something that anyway. So like the band's name is like Blue Motor in the Valley of the Kings is the song in the video. Something about the Egypt and the pyramid thing, and automatically it's like an Egypt terrorist thing in the Houston, Texas, somewhere like on the U.S. dollar or what that means, and like even like Israel, and what pi r squared with maybe like the one triangle means to Israel just is a shape of like delta, like the delta force. Like the delta is the triangle is the sign for delta, and you'll see that in certain types of military books, the delta force. I haven't seen the actual sign, but in electronics, in electronic schematics, the triangle is most definitely the triangle is the delta. Also a name of like the mouth of a river. Okay. Yeah, like the biggest mouth in North America is the Mississippi, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's like the delta thing about it, and the triangle, and something about in between Egypt and like the European metric system, getting to that close to the Mediterranean thing about Israel, and Israel being 6'4" and like an American and Oracle and all that stuff, and the 6-point star, of like the Star of David, one, and the 12 tribes of Israel, once again going all the way automatically, to like one of the 12 tribes of Israel being like the tribe of Judah, and normally virtually any musician anywhere probably already knows that about Christianity, is that one of the 12 tribes involving the musicians is like the tribe of Judah. And certain factors that I've been like really looking at as far as the tribe of Judah involving the scribes, even into the isometrics, even the astrology part of navigating using the stars in a way of what isometrics and plane horizons meant during biblical times, and of like the tribe of Reuben, predominantly known for being involved with scribes. Yeah, and ultimately, and here, not too long ago, the U.S. Secretary of Treasury, Robert E. Reuben thing. Anyway, Reuben, it's all about the way it's spelled, pronunciated, and all that between 69 and 64. Like the E. Reuben being 69, and just the word Reuben, the last name Reuben. um, 64. Okay, and an American movie, and I mean the list just goes on and on about 64 and Oracle and all that stuff. Yeah, so in Israel, so it's like the Star of David, the flag of Israel, having a 6 point, like two triangles. Okay, it's almost like not the leap of absence, or it's not a defector might be the perception of a Christian thing linked between Highway 101, yeah, and like I-10 and binary numbers and computer programming, sequencing characterization in sets of four, the way binaries are like used in microprocessing, um, in that way for like, just programming as well as like computer language, um, in that way, or what one person on a binary highway like I-10 would mean to 101 or above or below I-10, and maybe even in between the equator in that way. Um, but anyway, yeah, this is I'm getting off into it. But anyway, it's kind of like the George Michael thing about the guilty feet got no rhythm. Okay, and it's kind of like that was then, and I really didn't think of that part about. I thought about it, but the significance was just like, yeah, okay, guilty feet who got no rhythm, and really it might sound and look one way when in fact it's another way, or any and or but with the exception, or like really in any case, yeah. So and then it was kind of like the FDA thing about the consumer electronics, and something that's really been going on. It's been really a seriously not funny issue for me. But anyway, it's kind of like the fluid in my body had drained to my below my knees, and the doctor was diagnosing a congestive heart failure situation with fluid buildup, which ultimately, truthfully so. But it's kind of like I was like starting going off. I mean, I'd been to the hospital like 7, 8 times within the last like 6, 7 months, and potentially again like real soon, and it's really kind of getting a little ridiculous, not being able to control it. But anyway, it's kind of like the deal with similarities. I was like reading some other information that led to amyloidosis, um, and certain other factors involving supersonic sound, or certain types of I think it's X-ray, or an overextended amount of potential treatment affecting the bone marrow to cause the bone marrow to react, or have a need to. In any case, it affects the plasma to where it produces an overabundant amount of like white blood cells and proteins. Likewise, in addition, when that happens, the immune system kicks in with the immunoglobulin and the antigen, and with my understanding, it's all white. And I'm not real sure about the protein, because somewhere in my mind, in my education, I don't know why I'm thinking this. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but something during that time, not that it was protein, but I'm thinking at least during that time when I was looking at that kind of stuff, I was like hearing it that way. There was something about it adapting to what part of the body and anatomy it was being processed through, and adapted, the color adapted to that, if there was a change in color. And I don't know why I'm thinking it was something about protein in that way, because I don't think that protein is normally white. It could be, but I know also some of the similarities of like a plaque buildup with high cholesterol. Likewise, in addition, I think white. Um, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, like all that fluid, and being treated for like a congestive heart failure, I refused to. I wasn't going along with just I mean, gee whiz, I'm what, 56, 57. I'll have to actually count. I, I got to where I don't even keep track of how old I am anymore, my age. But anyway, um, yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like an automatic thing. I mean, it's really not funny, but at the same time, it's kind of like um, I was reading that the similarities in symptoms between amyloidosis and like congestive heart failure are so similar that sometimes it's a misdiagnosis. Okay, and it was like when I was reading it. Okay, I mean it's like a whole bunch of information was automatically like leading me to think automatically of like audio production, some of the pronunciation, and some of the analytical research. I mean, it was just like throwing, anyone would, any kind of, experience or being around it, just being around it, and maybe just knowing a little bit about terminology might possibly get that perception and thought maybe in that way, and maybe get that impression that, well, anyway, it's kind of like a WEA international thing, and 181 in like Houston, Texas. Anyway, so okay, all these thoughts are going on in my mind, okay? But anyway, it's like the thing about it is um, the the fluid, the pressure in my below my knees was like really seriously. I saw like I went out and bought um a brand new hot water a vibrating foot massage thing to relieve some of the pressure, and I knew more likely that when I heated it up, that more than likely some condensating seeping of like buildup inside my leg would like go through the pores of my skin. I knew that much. I wasn't expecting anything white, but it was like all white. I mean, the first time was the most of it. It was the first time, and that was actually almost one of my first thoughts. I was kind of concerned that if I did that, if it would like change any type of second attempt, with like maybe getting more, or if need be, maybe a different time and like have to do it again, kind of like thing, and but the first time I did it, I mean, like both of my feet were covered with like a white, gooey, pasty film, like all the way around the top and sides of it, my feet. And for the first time, I was like looking at a whole bunch of alphanumerics involving subconscious and my shays, and like even a song by the Christian band For Him, and the roller coaster ride was a whole different thought pattern until I started like looking into certain types of automated systems, going a little bit beyond like geographic information systems and global positioning systems, but something about the 36 thing and GIT and the geospatial information technology, and there was like questions in my mind because of certain things involving attenuation and processing speed with the manufacturer on Highway 288 being RPM. And normally, RPM is an automatic, anyone with a vehicle would automatically, almost relate a 1-800 number to a normal standard of 800 RPM as an idling set standard RPM for like versus every vehicle on like any highway is normally the idle is normally like 800 RPMs, as far as I know, on every vehicle. So I mean, like when I looked at that word attenuation and attention and absolute values, it's kind of like I was looking at Highway 288, and further up, closer to like Beltway 8, there's like I don't know. I'm really not dyslexic. It's either Pro Bass or Bass Pro. But anyway, I don't know why. I should know that without a question. But anyway, Pro Bass, Bass Pro, whatever. And what would normally be like building automated systems, but with Bass, it would be like the building automated software system. But anyway, there was something in my mind of location at the IBM, and I'm not sure if it's still Boeing now, but like, on the Kearney Bay area and in the Clear Lake, Texas area, pretty close to NASA, as a matter of fact. IBM, right there on the corner of that curve, there on Bay Area, turned to Boeing, and I'm not sure if they're still Boeing. Anyway, I'd been out there, and there was I was just following the information, and there was like some class involving like geospatial information technology, and when I got the book, I mean it would really probably have to be the book. You know, it's like, so you're not looking for the crazy straw. Although that roller coaster on that one book would have to be like the book that for him is actually the Christian band is singing about the roller coaster ride thing. Um, yeah, I would. I'm not just gonna, say that, but I mean, my impression, truthfully at this point, would be my impression. Okay, nothing more, but than the roller coaster ride, and that GIC and the 36 thing of geospatial information technology, because I was looking at a lot of software, including SAM software, um, SolarWinds software for like network operations, as well as SAN software, and certain types of financial management software that way, and investment software. And anyway, so like I was like looking at all that, and something I was wanting to say about the um, yeah, yeah, the Sox and Goldman. Hey, is that the Sox and Goldman Wyatt Earp? God, what is it? See, there it is. I don't know why. It's got the Wyatt Earp and the God. I can't believe this. Anyway, I'm gonna have to think about it and do it again. That's why I do this right here. It's the Wyatt Earp and the something Mugu Gaipan thing. Oh God. Anyway, I'll think about it and do it again, and narrow it down, and maybe get to the point and not throw all this in with each other together, and maybe give it a more structured, concentrated body and presentation. Yeah. So anyway, to narrow it down and get right to it. Okay. So anyway, I want to take a break. Okay.